y'all like this new laid-back kind of... I know y'all want to hear me like on the radio, right? That's... Well, for those of you that don't listen to the radio station, a couple of weeks ago we experienced a national tragedy. And as long as we live so dependent on electricity, we better remember those boys up there in Ohio and Tennessee and Northern Virginia and West Virginia and Pennsylvania that mine that coal we need so much out of Kentucky and everything else. And the Merle Travis wrote a song so many years ago that I kind of identify with it. We've got so many friends and neighbors down here in Florida now from West Virginia. As we experienced that coal mining tragedy, we honored them on our Florida show. Because, you know, I realize a lot of people in Florida are descendants of people that have been in Florida for hundreds of years. Both sides of my family go back to 1791. That was second Spanish control in Florida. But just to get things going, the Merle Travis song was Dark as a Dungeon. So in honor of our coal miners and the ones we've lost and the ones we've lost through the years, come all you young fellas, so brave and so fine, and seek not your fortune way down in the mine. It'll form as a habit, it'll seep in your soul, till the streams of your blood runs as black as the coal. It's dark as a dungeon, it's damp as the dew. The danger is doubled and the pleasures are few. Where the sun never shines, where the rain never falls. As the sun never shines, it's dark as a dungeon way down in the mine. There's many a man I have known in my day that lived just to labor their whole life away. Like a fiend with his dope, a drunkard his wine, a man will have lust for the lure of the mine. It's dark as a dungeon and damp as the dew. Danger is doubled and the pleasures are few. Where the rain never falls, as the sun never shines. It's dark as a dungeon way down in the mine. Oh, I hope when I die, the ages will roll, my body will blacken and turn into coal. Then I'll stand at the door of my heavenly home and pity the miners digging my bones. It's dark as a dungeon and damp as the dew. Danger is doubled and the pleasures are few. Well, the rain never falls, the sun never shines. It's dark as a dungeon way down in the mine. God bless you, brothers. I guess I'm a little bit of everything. Seen so many flags unfurled. Someone still remembers. They come to see us from all over the world. I'm the Spanish moss hanging from the live oak trees. I'm what's left of the panther and the old manatee. I'm an eagle in flight, I'm the ocean's roar. I'm Florida, need I say more? I'm Florida, need I say more? I'm the ghost of the Spaniard at the fountain of youth in old Augustine by the sea. Down around Brighton, I'm a Seminole Indian who somehow through it all still walks free. I'm the sunburned face on that old Key West conch, watching hurricanes from down on Duval Street. I'm a tarpon jumping down in Chokoloskee where the Gulf and the Everglades meet. I'm the coat of gray my great-grandfather wore when in the fields at Alusty they fought. I'm the roar of the Cameron Sons mill at Lacoochee now has vanished as a cypress they saw. Apalachicola oysters, and I'm Crystal Springs. I'm Cousin Thelma Bolton, and God bless Will McLean. Forest Green, and I'm Golden Shores. I'm Florida, need I say more? I'm Florida, need I say more? Weathered skin of the Arcadian cowboy, riding fence on Ike's brother's herd, or canoe trip down the Mayaca, where the gators still left undisturbed. Coral's still alive out in old Tampa Bay, in a secret place my brother Ricky and I know. I'm the citrus getting ripe in the sunshine in Ben Hill Griffin's frost-proof grove. This song came from 2 pages of a 7-page poem I'd written years and years ago over at Boards in Pinellas Park. Thomas Bruce Reese read it. He said, "Oh, Bobby, it's too long. You need to shorten it some." And so I whittled it on down and finally just made a song out of it. Actually, I was hoping Jeannie Fitchin would sing it so many years ago, but I finally got it down to 2 pages, and Tom Reese says, "That's better." And he got people from the Evening Independent to come out and do an article on it and stuff, and kind of got me going in the Florida deal. So for Thomas Bruce Reese, I'm Florida. I guess this one's for you. I'm waters once clear as a swimming pool, though fewer than there used to be. Though it'll never be like yesterday, you can still catch a fish, say, to eat. Take a look around me, I'm sure you'll agree. Florida's the best of the land of the free, with all of the good life right here at our door. I'm Florida, need I say more? I see that look on your face, those of you that aren't from here, but look at where you're at. I ain't up in New York singing about Florida. We're standing on sacred ground. That's where my folks are from. I don't care whether you're down here for the weather or just this is where you're having your Winnebago serviced. You're here for a reason. Remember, my home never got bad enough to leave. I'm Florida, need I say more? I'm Florida, need I say more? I'm Spaniard, and I'm Frenchman, and I'm British, and I'm an Indian, I'm forest, and I'm swamplands, opportunities for all men, proud as can be when I roar. I'm Florida, need I say more? I'm Florida, need I say more? Well, I thought I was about ready to come off. I still got a couple minutes here. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Someone was nice enough to send me a copy of a Will McLean Festival. We all played just one year at the Withlacoochee Bluegrass Festival grounds, and I was looking at that and just thinking how many people were there in '96 that aren't even around now, and a lot of Don grooms on that. And we lost grooms in January '98. It's already been 8 years. Don Grooms, journalism professor at University of Florida for 31 years. He came down out of Cherokee, North Carolina. Tawadi was his Indian name, Hawk. But came down here and loved us as we loved him. And he noticed this phenomena take place every fall when the weather would get cold. He'd see these great Conestoga wagons come down here, you know, and they'd stay, and they wherever it was cheap, folks. And then when the snow quit falling, they'd turn around and all head back out, you know. And he wrote a song about it. It was called the Great Conestoga Phenomena, but people didn't know what he was talking about, so he renamed it them gall darn Winnebagos. Before y'all get offended, if you're here because you love the place and you kind of enjoy being in Florida, that's fine. But if you're one of them bumper boulders from up north that comes down here and spends the rest of your waking moments telling me how big and cheap and wonderful everything is where you came from, what the hell are you doing here? You're not down here at some missionary service trying to save the lost of the South. You're down here because this is the best place you've ever been, and you're only staying down here trying to work out a plan to be a full-timer in Florida. Oh, that's right. That's right. You don't stay full-time in Florida anymore. Now you spend the rest of the year out in Arizona. Yeah, they've asked me to write a song for them. But anyway, they got their old CB and the color TV in every third car on the road. It's Ma and Pa from Saginaw and their gall-darn Winnebago. Well, you hear them as they roll down the highway as they yell, breaker, breaker, 19. But they only stop to wipe what they call pop and to pump out the sewer line. Decals on the window tell you where they've been. The bumper tells you where they're bound. Hit the KOA, then they hit the hay, and their feet never touch the ground. They got their old CB and the color TV in every third car on the road. It's some old man from Michigan and his gall-darn Winnebago. Well, Winnebago, as we all know, it's an Osage Indian name. It means standing stagnant, putrid water. How's that for a claim to fame? But the Sunshine State thinks they're just great and they smell just like a rose. Bureaucracy from Tallahassee just loves them Winnebagos. They got their old CB and the color TV in every third car on the road. It's Ma and Pa from Saginaw and their gall-darn Winnebago. Well, you can't go around laying on the ground in a sleeping bag in just your clothes. Cops will take you in unless you're from Michigan and you're gall-darn Winnebago. I'd love to ride for hours in the land of flowers, the home of the Seminoles, and never see one man from Michigan and his gall-darn Winnebago. They got their old CB and the color TV in every third car on the road. There's some reprobate from the Garden State and his gall-darn Winnebago. Oh yeah, it's a universal song. You can put anything in there. They got their old CB and the color TV in every third car on the road. It's Ma and Pa from Saginaw, yes, some old man from Michigan. Y'all seen them? They're riding along the left-hand lane. They got a turn signal on to make a turn they ain't gonna make. That signal's been on since they left Detroit. And they ask you directions and argue with you. I'm serious. They come over, they stop me in Tampa. They say, which way to Busch Gardens? I tell them. And then they argue. They say they just came that way. Of course, they came from the interstate. They didn't see Busch Gardens because it's on the other side, but you can't tell them anything. So finally, I just get frustrated. I tell them to hang their first 3 rights, and I wave at them when they go back by. And they're gall-darn Winnebago. Like I said, folks, if the shoe don't fit, don't try to wear it. He said life's pretty rough, and your living's in the Gulf, fishing buys your groceries. Banks have never understood when the weather's no good. You still got a family to feed. You can load up your boat, you can roll up the coast, trying to fill your hooks or your net. Or second-guess storms down south where water's warm, batten it down and give it your best. Keep in mind the Honduras ain't no place for tourists. No telling what you're gonna find. The shrimp you're trawling ain't the only thing they're hauling, and it's best your own business to mind. Well, Zachariah Creech wasn't just another shrimper, docked his boat at Cedar Key. A few things about it made him little different than those other sons of the sea. He trawled the Gulf since he was 10 years old, from Tortugas to Tampico. Well, he'd done some time back at 29 for hauling whiskey out of Port St. Joe. Yeah, he looked to be as old as the water that had etched his face and mine. The Gulf was his mother, the wind was his father, Zachariah Creech, such a friend of mine. I used to see him at the docks in Crystal River, the bars down in Tarpon Springs. Drank Canadian mist neath the moon of silver. At night sometimes he'd sing. He sang of the days when the money came easy. He'd had a family and a home. But then he sang of a hurricane that came, left old Zach alone. He carried the loss upon his shoulder from an old storm back in '33. He drowned his sorrow in the whiskey, the sun and the wind and the sea. He reminisced about days on Tampa Bay, back when a shrimper still had respect. He said a man of the sea was somebody then. You could judge us by the way we run our nets. It's a dying art, he used to tell me. Well, nobody wants to learn it all anymore. But nowadays it's all electronics. They use to rape the ocean's floor. He said I only trod enough to make a living. Now they're making 3 trips to my wine. They're taking a lot more than the water is given. Won't be nothing left at all when they're done. He handed me down his old guitar. He gave the bottle another pull. Said all I need are the sun and the stars, and every once in a while my belly to be full. Besides, I'm what many call an old man. I've lived more than I got left. Write a song for me and the sons of the sea, so those who care will not forget. He said, write about the old Gulf fishermen, how we held out as long as we could. Well, those of us that fish by instinct and build our boats out of wood. It was a cold day in February. Booty Singleton called me on the telephone. Said the Dixie ladies moored at Anclote. The old man's barely hanging on. The trawlers thought I was a strange young man, as the spongers must have thought it was weird. By the way I touched that old man's face, I held his head so near. I thought back on all the good times, made me smile, though I was sad. For Zachariah Creech was an old Gulf shrimper, closest thing I knew to a dad. Well, I sat down with my fountain pen. I tried to capture his life in my lines. About a man of the sea, born in Steenhatchee. He died on his boat back in '79. He was a different kind of a sailor, a different sea from a different time. You know, Zachariah Creech was an old Gulf shrimper. Zachariah Creech, such a friend of mine. Yeah, he looked to be as old as the water that had etched his face in lines. The Gulf was his mother, the wind was his father, and Zachariah Creech was a friend of mine. A lot of Florida songwriters aren't with us anymore. They finally sprouted wings and got on out of here. So, do a couple of their songs. Jim Ballou. Dear, gentle, sweet Jim Ballou. Good man. Good man to know in a clutch, too, because he was all right. He was all right in genteel society, and he was at ease working in Orange Grove. And and such a wondrous guitar player. He was a finger picker. You know what I'm talking about when I say finger picking, like But anyway, I'm not a finger picker, so I'm not going to try to finger pick this next song. I'm going to do with a flat pick. I usually ruin it, but that's all right. It's a tribute to Jim instead of trying to cover his tune. When he got out to Texas, he went out there with Gamble Rogers. They went out there for a folk festival in Kerrville and another one in Louisville. And they were finally on Austin city limits, and they went this Texas Songwriters concert, which is kind of strange. 2 boys out of Florida, Texas Songwriters concert. But anyway, it's this boy had this song out there, and it's called Don't Tell Mama I'm a Truck Driver. She thinks I'm just a piano player in a house of ill repute. And it just didn't work. And Jim got a hold of it, and they kind of cleaned it up, and it's Don't tell Mom I'm a guitar picker. She thinks I'm just in jail. Don't tell Mom I'm a guitar picker. It's like I've lost my mind. Mama knows where guitar goes, trouble's close behind. I could fight, drink, and rob a bank, or raise all kinds of hell. Don't tell Mom I'm a guitar picker, she thinks I'm just in jail. Don't tell Mom I'm an old folk singer and singing them cowboy songs. She's screaming, crying, wonder why her baby boy went wrong. She'll boo-hoo and turn all blue, even cuss my pa. 'Cause Daddy was a guitar man, the wildest one of all. Yeah, my daddy picked the guitar and he run with old Bob Wills. Played them Texas honky-tonks, he'd chase them Lone Star girls. Tell Mama swore she'd leave him if he didn't mend his fence. He stashed that flat top under the beds, picked on Mama ever since. I swiped my daddy's guitar and I run away from home. Now I'm up in muscle shoals, picking all night long, doing like old Hank done and having me a ball. Mama's sitting by the phone just waiting for my call. But don't tell Mama I'm a guitar picker, she think I've lost my mind. Mama knows where guitar goes, trouble's close behind. I could fight, drink, and rob a bank, or raise all kinds of hell. Don't tell Mom I'm a guitar picker, she thinks I'm just in jail. Don't tell Mom I'm a guitar picker, she thinks I'm just in jail. When Will McLean would play, and Gamble would play, and Jim Ballou would play, and Frank Thomas would play, and so many people would play, they had another guitarist, banjo player up on stage with them by the name of Paul Champion. And Paul was one of the first to leave us. So Jim Ballou wrote a song to sing at Paul's memorial. Everybody thought it was Jim's farewell song, but it wasn't. So for Paul Champion, I'll do another Jim Ballou tune. When I die, don't bury me in the ground beneath the tree. Scatter my ashes in the flow where the coochie go. Hate to start off a song like that when I'm crying. I'll get back in control here. Don't cry for me when I'm gone at last. Take your pole, catch a big old bass. Catch a largemouth bass and set it free. Set it free, then think of me. When we lost Paul, Jimmy wrote this song. Less than a year, Jimmy too was gone. Upon these stages, they all were home. They're here today as we sing their song. When I die, don't bury me in the ground beneath some old tree, but scatter my ashes in the flow where the coochie go. The question of moonshine was brought up earlier. When I say moonshine, I'm not talking about ambient starlight shining down the face of this planet. I'm talking about something drink a little bit, feel better than you ever had before. Drink a little bit too much, feel worse than you ever will again. Up in Melrose, they call it autumn leaves. They claim as you drink it, you turn colors and fall. Up around Bonifay, they call it bullfrog. You drink it, you hops around a little bit, and then you croak. Way up in northern Florida, not far from Alabama, there's Great Jackson, he's a Florida backwoods man. Like three daddies come before him, makes his living off the land. Minds his own darn business, but he'll help you if he can. I was cruising old Highway 90 in the heat of a July day. I seen an old Jimmy broken down just east of Bonifay. I offered the driver up a ride. He answered with a smile. Said it's a long way to Miller Crossroads, but I'll make it worth your while. I said I was on vacation, set out to clear my mind. I'd left my watch in Tampa, I wasn't pressed at all the time. Said Tampa's a long, long way from here, I've never been south of Perry. He stopped to take a sip from a pocket flask he carried. He offers me that bottle, saying this here ain't store-bought, but it's good for what ails you from arthritis to whooping cough. So being the fool that I am, well, I takes a big old sip, then turns to his knot to burn him with the flames coming from my lips, singing, sometimes it ain't so bad, sometimes it ain't so good. I takes it all in stride, 'cause my living's in the woods. Ain't got much crime or violence, we never had no drugs, but the moon comes through the pines and mason jars and gallon jugs. He said that's Jackson whiskey, been making it 100 years. I was trying hard to hear him through the buzzing in my ears. He said, you got to learn to sip it, son, it set you right on fire. I figure it's about 190 proof and it just don't get much higher. By now I was breathing normal again, in fact I was feeling fine. First time my sinuses have been clear since 1969. He started looking around my van, he noticed the guitar case. Said you have to do us a tune when we get out to my place. Said life gets pretty busy with a wife and 7 kids, but I never had to look back twice on anything I did. My family's needing something, liking a little cash. I just runs off in the pines and I runs a little sour mash, singing, sometimes it ain't so bad, sometimes it ain't so good. I takes it all in stride, 'cause my living's in the woods. Ain't got much crime or violence, we never had no drugs, but the moon comes through the pines and mason jars and gallon jugs. That crossroads more just a place on the map than it was any kind of a town. Might have been blindfolded for all the roads he led me down. Well, we finally came to Graydon's place out in them old pine woods. I realized that in 100 years the Jacksons had done good. As if he could read my mind, he said, we'd better explain. Got a lot of money than he did right away for the train. But Daddy never let it change him, claims a man needs to work for a living. Who could want anything more than what this land's been given? So we put the money on back, in case our kids ever want to get away. Good enough for my dad is good enough for me, so I just reckon I'll stay singing. Sometimes it ain't so bad, sometimes it ain't so good. I takes it all in stride, 'cause my living's in the woods. Ain't got much crime or violence, we never had no drugs, but the moon comes through the pines and mason jars and gallon jugs. I stayed with them almost a week, by then I could understand why a man with $1 million still scratched a living from the land. He had 7 kids that loved him, his wife set the table well. I tell you, if it got any better than this, then God would have kept it for himself, singing, sometimes it ain't so bad, sometimes it ain't so good. I takes it all in stride, 'cause my living's in the woods. Ain't got much crime or violence, we never had no drugs, and the moon comes through the pines and mason jars and gallon jugs. Way up in northern Florida, not far from Alabama, there's Great Jackson, he's a Florida backwoods man. Like 3 daddies come before him, makes his living off the land. Minds his own damn business, but he'll help you if he can. Thank you, Pinellas. We'll see you next year. God bless you. hang around because the show's just beginning. And those of you that got to drive somewhere, drive careful because you are important. Thank you.
This one? Having a good time? Isn't this a beautiful day?
Hey, how about a thanks for Dale Weber doing the sound like it's supposed to be?
Sound man's got to be taken care of. And this wonderful filming crew from Channel 18 who are Pinellas' Access Channel. They're going to be producing a wonderful show which you'll be able to see on television. I love Bobby. When he does that Jeremiah Creech, that brings a lot of memories to me because my uncle was a shrimper. My father was a mullet fisherman. As you can see, we care about Florida. That's one of the reasons we have gatherings like